Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today, I want to do a cool tone look and I want to walk you through it. And I've been so into cool tone looks recently. I think that in summertime, we just kind of neglect cool tones, but like, I love a bronzy look, but also a cool tone look. I like them both. It's like two things that shouldn't be together. We're bringing them together. We're marrying them. Now, it's not going to be too bronzy, but you know, we're going to do it. Also, I nicked this mole while shaving my eyebrows today, and it won't stop bleeding. We're going to end with eyes today. I don't know what to do about it. I don't want to start with my eyes because I don't want to bring you closer to the blood. I don't want to like put foundation over it yet. I have a mix of some old stuff and some newer stuff, and I'm going to like just, you know, talk about the makeup today. Like that's the focus. Is like, this isn't a let's play with makeup. It's just like, we're making a cool tone look. We're purposefully building a cool toned look. Before we start, Merritt sent me this, and this isn't part of the look. It's just what I'm going to wear on my lips until we get to the lipstick. The Merritt Shade Slick Gelée in Maraschino. I keep thinking of Kim Petras in Unlock It. Her part in Unlock It by Charlie XCX. I don't know that this makes my lips look red. I feel like they just like, I think there is a little bit of like a color changing component, but like, I don't know. I don't even know that it reads like the normal pink that a pH changing product has. It just is like sort of this very neutral thing. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but what I will say is I like this color much better. I had one of the original Shade Slicks and it was in this dark brown color. I don't even remember the name of it. And I didn't like it, but I like it a lot better in a lighter, like basically a non-color. And I think that was like my running theory the whole time I had that brown one. I was just like, I don't think I like this, but I also think this is not the right color. I should have chosen a different color. And I think that was on me. I think it was on me. For primer today, we're going to be using the Victoria Beckham and Augustinus Bader. I always want to say Bittner. Augustinus Bader Cell Rejuvenating Priming Moisturizer. And I'm mostly using this one because it was pointed out to me that it has a shorter shelf life than some things. And while mine's still okay, I'm trying to use it up. I also just really love this primer. Like everything about it is just like incredibly lovely. I'm going to be sad when it's gone. I've had nothing but respect for this primer. And if you happen to be new here, this is not, I have the golden one too, which I bought more recently, so that's why I'm like not as concerned about it. But the golden one has a little bit of like a bronze tinge to it, and obviously we are building a cool toned look. And while yes, we're going to use bronzer, and I think using bronzer like with a cool toned look enhances the cool tone look, especially if you're going with blues, because like the orange and the bronzer and then you know what I mean? Like they play off each other because orange and blue are on opposite sides of the color wheel. Am I Kackie? Am I the new Kackie? Tom is the new Kackie. Welcome to my channel, Tom is the new Kackie. I don't give a flying fart about color theory, but like, you know, it does work. It is a thing for a reason. Now, I'm honestly not gonna like match my, like, I'm not gonna make my skin is like a neutral with a little bit of a pink lean, like a slight pink lean, but I find that if I go with the pink option in a foundation, it ends up being too pink, and if I go with the neutral, it's typically the best match for me. So I'm going to be using the Dewdrop foundation from Surratt in the shade 1.5. This is my favorite foundation. It's funny because I hadn't used it in a while, and I was like, I was wearing it yesterday. You are the goat for the reason, like just for a reason, you know? I just love this foundation. I mean, the component is stupid, but I love this foundation. My brushes definitely need to be cleaned after today. I'm gonna forget, and then I'm gonna use my brushes again. I'm gonna be like, I need to clean my brushes. I'm not gonna be able to tonight unless I do it late, which me doing things late at night, not ideal. I need to turn the brightness down. I still just adore the way my skin looks in this. I am coming around to some other foundations, and yesterday when I wore the Dewdrop, I think the brush that I used was truly so dirty that it didn't look good. It was like the brush caused it to not look its best, and I'm using a different brush today. Obviously, I'm just gonna do some color correcting on my neck. For some reason, we've gotten it in our heads. This has been for a long time that like warm tones are just like easier to work with for some reason. I think that every color is equally hard to work with. It just requires a little bit of finesse and some skill. I find that when I do a smoky eye, whenever I'm like, you know, really doing a smoky eye, I prefer it so much more with like cool tones in like cool leaning neutrals, like as opposed to like warm leaning neutrals. I don't know, I find it more effective. I guess smoke is gray and not warm brown. If we're getting into the nitty-gritty of it, is that even a smoky eye? Because is brown smoky? It has to be a shade name. Someone has to have a shade name called brown smoky. Like a cool, I mean, like there are definitely cool leaning browns, but like, you know, just like, I feel like every bride wants like a warm neutral smoky eye. I just feel like that's always what it ends up being. Anyway, this is the Surratt Dewdrop Concealer. I wore this combo yesterday. I'm unsure of this concealer. I see some of my friends really enjoying it on the internet. I don't dislike it. I don't like applying it, but I like it on. You know, I don't know how else to describe it to you. Like, I like the way it looks. I don't know. It's so weird. It's like the process of applying it, it's not difficult to apply. It like blends out just fine. I don't know. It's just like, I don't experience like joy. It's kind of hard to be like, how exciting is a concealer? I mean, whenever a concealer really performs, I can get a little bit excited about it, but like to even get used to the Givenchy, because I like that concealer, but it was like, it took me a long time to like say that it was like my favorite or like my concealer that I'm keeping around. Anyway, here's where we are with the skin. But also like the finish of this Surratt Dewdrop, it's like, it doesn't feel like a concealer that goes with this foundation. Like it's fine. Like, I think they look good together, but like the finish is vastly different. And I have the shade 1.5 in the foundation, in both foundations, in the Surreal Skin and the Dewdrop. I've already complained about the shade range of this Dewdrop concealer. It's only 10 shades. And if I went with one, that's like stark white. So I'm wondering if I do a dot of both. That's too high maintenance for me. It would have to be the absolute best concealer. And I don't know that it's taking that spot. Anyway, this isn't a review of that concealer. I'm speaking it because I'm just figuring out my thoughts on it. Let's move along to contour. This one's kind of important. I do think that when you're building out a cool tone look, I think choosing not to like use a bronzer is kind of important. I don't know. I just feel like whenever it comes to contour products, especially with people of my skin tone, like I don't understand like the contouring needs of people with deeper skin tones. Like I just don't have a deeper skin tone, so I don't know how cool you want it to be, because I know that sometimes things that are too cool toned on deeper complexions end up looking ashy. So I know that the needs are different for different skin tones, but I find that anytime a brand releases like there's a contour release, it's always brown. It's always like this murky brown. But this is the Inner Glow Cream Pigment from Ritual Defeat, and it's in the shade Intuition. And if you get up into it, it has enough brown in it, but it is mostly like gray pink. And it just, for me, is currently like the contour that I'm reaching for the most. Now, this isn't a product that is like quote unquote for contouring. It's just like a shade in a thing that works really well as a contour for people with my skin tone. And this was recommended to me, well, whenever I decided I was doing the cream contour video, some people requested it, but my friend Andromeda, they had reached out and said, I think you should try this one. They said basically that I use bronzer, and I do, but it's also like what's most accessible. And I was finishing up this Fenty bronzer in amber, but like to me the Fenty bronzer was too cool to be a bronzer, but it was too warm to be a contour. But I had worked myself through it so far where I just like needed to finish it up, and then that's why we're on this cream contour journey. I just find that most brands are pretty unsuccessful making like a contour that I want. I at one point had the Lunatic Cosmetics Lab contour book, and I would use the two lightest gray shades in there to do contour, and that was my favorite contour. They were gray, and since I like cool tones, or when I would work with cool tones, it worked really well. But you know, sometimes I do lean into the warmth, and I do sometimes like to use a contour shade or contour with bronzer or a bronzy color, just because then it feels like I feel like things are fighting on my face. This has been what I've been reaching for the most so far in the contour video. I still have some things I need to purchase for my contour video. I'm going to be using a new bronzer from Phytosurgence. I have 4 of these shades, and was that the last video I posted? Time? Who knows about time? Not me. Certainly not me. Do I look like a father? I am a father figure. Am I a father figure? There's a child that I live with. He's not mine, but he's sort of mine, but like not really. Do you know what I mean? And so like, am I a father figure? I don't like the term father. Like even if I had my own child, I would be like, don't call me father. And don't call me mother either. I'm not RuPaul. I'm not the RuPaul of it all. Anyway, this is the shade 4 Rosy Warmth from Phytosurgence in their Spectral Sunlight Cream Bronzer. I applied all of these in that video, and so now I'm trying to separate them all and apply them all separately to figure out which ones I actually want to keep. Now, I've already applied Rosy Daybreak in a short. You should have already seen that if you follow my short form content, which you don't have to, by the way. I don't really care about short form content. I make it because the algorithm on YouTube likes it for your long form content. This is the shade Rosy Warmth, and this is like not the lightest rosy bronzer, but it's the next step up. So let's see how this looks on its own. Quite a bit more. So what I'm learning about these so far, if you're following my career with these with any interest, is that it seems like they're pretty adaptable. I don't think people with deeper skin would probably get along very well with like ones for lighter skin. I think if you go a shade darker, I think that they're adaptable enough that like it's not gonna, like, I don't think that looks too deep for me as a bronzer. It still looks really natural. Rosy Daybreak is probably like a better match for me, like if you asked the professionals, but like I don't think that this is too much. I think it's all about how much product you're picking up with your brush or however you're applying it. I think if I go ham, it might look a little bit too much, but I don't think so. I might like this one a little bit more than, maybe I like this one a little bit more than Rosy Daybreak. I don't know. It could be also just that like in the summertime, I just might like the shade deeper as opposed to the shade lighter. And probably during the winter, I would enjoy the lighter shade. Anyway, that is Rosy Warmth all over the skin. Looking gorgeous, looking stunning. Let's talk about this a little bit since this is like a newer product and it's a product that many of you have great interest in. Someone said that they thought that Inner Glow might look similar to this. Let me grab that. Inner Glow, if you're not familiar, is like a cream blush from Kier Weiss. I did respond to the commenter about this, that it wouldn't have like the shine because like there's like this silver sheen to Inner Glow. Yeah, it's just, Inner Glow is definitely like a pink blush, and these are like pink leaning bronzers. And then there's Rosy Daybreak. So yeah, I think Inner Glow is its own beast. I don't think it really is any of those. I could see a world where one used this as like an all over cheek product. Just like it is it's like kind of like a bronzer. Like I could see someone using this as a bronzer because it has that rosy warmth to it. Rosy Warmth. Isn't that what it's called? Look at that. Look at that light. See, it's daytime out. I'm going to powder. It's not exciting. I'll see you on I'll zoom you through that. Let's move on to blush. And we have to use it. We have to use it. Barba Papa from Surratt. So it's the center shade here. And it is just this beautiful, sheeny pink blush with a shift to blue. And that's what I'm planning on doing with my eyes today, like doing like baby blue and baby pink. And I think that Barba Papa is the perfect one. It's the one that we must. I mean, it's a namesake. And am I working on Barba Papa merch? Am I also maybe working on the American translation version of that shirt? I am. But here it is. Ooh. If anyone would have shown me this blush and said, if I bought that for you, would you enjoy it? I would say no. But I would be wrong. I would have been so wrong. There's nothing better than trying something on your face for the first time or, over the course of like a couple of months or like weeks. And every time you apply it, thinking that, I don't think I like that much. And then it just continuously proving you wrong. Like, it just like, maybe you do like pink blush. Maybe you do like a shiny pink blush with a blue shift to it. I mean, and then for highlight, I'm going to be using this. This is ancient, not decrepit, but it is ancient. This is from Pat McGrath Labs. It's the Iridescent Pink 003 pigment. And this is from like the slutty skin. What is it called? Like the slutty skin. So I used to be like a Pat McGrath stan, and every time I get something wrong, someone kindly corrects me in the comments and it's just like, you really forgot all of your, yeah, there was like 00 something. It was called Skin Fetish. I don't remember, like slut. It's not on here, by the way. I'm not just like, you know what I'm talking about. The highlighter, whatever it was, but it was like by itself. It was like the blush and cream highlight, and then this also came with it. And there was also a brush, a stippling brush, which I got rid of. But this is like a pink shifty pearly highlighter. And while Barba Papa certainly doesn't like need a highlight, I like this highlighter a lot, actually. I wish that it was sold in its own compact because I think that people would like this, but I think this comes in, like, this is the formula in that white trio of highlighters. I don't know that for certain. I've never, like, actually looked into it because, like, it's gonna take me 70 years to pan this highlighter. Like, 30 years down the line when we're on my channel, we might see pan. Like, we maybe, if I still even have it at this point. It's like the one iridescent pink highlighter that I think is, like, you know, it's really beautiful, but it's like not too much when sometimes like highlights with these shifts can sometimes feel like quote unquote too much. Anyway, here's the skin. Here's our cool tone. Here's where we are so far with the skin. Ooh. I've been doing a lot of cool toned eyes recently, and I've been using 2 palettes to do it. I think that these palettes are sort of like the unsung heroes of the beauty community. And I'm glad to see sometimes some people in my comments recently like saying that they really like these palettes too, because I have been just like using them like using them so much. And they are both of Hindash's palettes. So this is the Beautopsy, and then I also have this Monochromance, which I broke. This one folds all the way around. This one didn't want to, and then I forced it, and then the packaging was like, look at us doing that. So fun. What I'm probably going to do today is play with these 2 shades first, and then I probably will go into the gray over here and the black. So I might go into the black and the gray. Definitely the gray, maybe the black. And then I will also go into maybe the pink or the blue. I haven't decided, but like it's not going to be the star of the show, like the star of the mattes, because we're going to put shimmers on. But I do want either the pink or the blue to be like worked into the smoky look of it all. So I'm going to prime my eyes with the Blink eyeshadow primer first. I always like to set my eyeshadow base, and I find that in the Hindash palettes, the top shades work pretty well for that. The best one is probably Tan in the Tan Lines shade. So I guess I'll use that since I'm using both today. But I will also use Alter and Alter Ego sometimes too. I've mentioned this before. The Hindash eyeshadows are like interesting where like I can just kind of do this with this shade and just smack it on the eye, and like it's definitely adding pigment, but like not so much. But also this shade's like really close to my skin tone. But I'm gonna zoom you in while we work on the eyes so you can just like see what we're doing. Is that too close? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit in Alter Ego. I'm probably going to stick more to the side altar, and I'm just going to kind of start working on a transition situation and just kind of building out my eye shape with it. I'm just tapping into Alter a little bit, just blending that out a little bit. And it's okay, like normally this ends up giving me a little bit of a garage door situation, but we're gonna build more definition to it. I haven't done a video where I like really talked about my eyeshadow application in a while. I've received feedback on my blending and it's all been positive, but it's just like an interesting thing to receive feedback on. I don't know, it's just how I've always like blended. I don't know. And what I mean by that is like sometimes you see people on YouTube like, well, they'll hold their brush up here. I'm not yucking anyone's yum. Even if you're someone who watches my channel, you can absolutely hold a makeup brush however you want. But like you're like taught in beauty school, like you're not like really you're not really gripping up here, and you're just kind of like letting the eyeshadow do the work for you, which is why the eyeshadows that I like tend to make the most sense for me. So like I've talked a lot about how I like my eyeshadows to feel like more like watercolor than I like them to be like hyper pigmented, and that's because that's how I build my eyeshadow. I like want the eyeshadow and the brush to do the work for me. I don't want to feel like I'm doing all of the work. Okay, and so now I'm going to go in with like a little bit of a smaller blending brush, and I'm going to go into Ego and kind of use it as like a quote unquote crease shade, but it's kind of just like layering on top of what I just did with Alter, especially with these shadows. If you're blending them into each other, oh, they just blend it like because they're essentially the same eyeshadow. They're in the same pan and they're gradients of one another. And it just helps you like really build an eyeshadow look without having to do too much blending, because they're shadows that were like designed to go together. And I understand that any eyeshadow in any eyeshadow palette is like designed to go together, maybe. You know, sometimes I'll throw in like a really weird shade in there and they'll be like, good luck at figuring out how to use that. They used to do it with like blues and all those warm toned orange eyeshadow palettes. They were like, here's a thing for you to figure out how to use in this look. I am focusing more of this ego shade on the outside and blending it over. And now with an even smaller blending brush, I'm going to take from the Beautopsy palette, I'm going to go in to Real, like the real side of Feel Real. And then this one I'm gonna keep closer to the outside of my eye and just blend it in a little bit, not taking it all the way to like the start of my nose. And sort of like winging it out a little bit. Like I'm not doing a wing, but you know, I do want a little bit of lift. Here's where we're at so far. So I'm going to use my Sigma switch and I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to go back into monochromans. And so there's Forever Inked on the bottom. I'm going to go into the inked side and get some of that blue. And I'm going to put it basically right over top of the gray shade, the Real shade from Beautopsy, to add a little bit of like a blue hue, but I don't want it to only be blue, which is why I laid down that gray first as like a little bit of a base. But we do want to see the blue, but we don't want it to be the absolute star of the show. So here's the difference. Obviously the blue is adding a little bit more depth, but you can see how it's like, it's blue, but it's not like, it's like a blue that smacks you in the face. I want there to be that blue in it, but I don't want it to be like all of it. Especially whenever we're going to be putting like a blue on the lid. I'm going to go back to the first blending brush that I used, and then I'm going to tap into Forever, and I'm going to essentially go on the outskirts of this entire blend to add a little bit of a blue hue, but it's not going to be like an overwhelming blue. It's just going to add like a slight wash of blue. I'm just going to take it up here. So you see how there's just like a slight bit of blue going through that? That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's what the eyes look like so far. I'm not going to go into the black shade because I'm going to be using an eyeliner later, and I'm going to do a little bit of a wing, and that will be enough. I don't think I need to add the black shadow. For the lid, this is something that I haven't really used on my main channel yet, but I did receive this from Isamaya. I'm using it. I'm not going to really talk about I'm not reviewing it in this, not talking through feelings in this, but I'm going to take this blue shade from the Isamaya Industrial 2.0 palette. I'm going to focus that on the outer part of my lid because I do think I want to put the pink. Ooh, no, maybe I'll use these two blues. This blue and then this blue. This on the outer. Yeah, let's do that. I typically, with the Isamaya shadows, like to finger paint. To have a little bit more control, I am going to use like a dense brush. I haven't tried even applying any of these with a brush yet. That brush surprisingly picked that shadow a lot easier than I thought it was going to. I thought I was going to really have to like do something, but no, that shadow went right on. And so now I'm going to go into the lighter blue down here. I'm going to put that on the inner third of my eyelid. You know I need something else. You know I need something else. This is not as sparkly as I would like it to be. But that's those two Isamaya shades on the eyes, just so you can take a look at them. Take a peek. I could use this as a topper from the Industrial 2.0 because I've used it as a topper. It's pretty good. We all know, right? You know, you're all screaming it at home, right? A little bit of ice blink, a little bit of ice blink. Just right there. Ooh, 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 oh. If you're not familiar, this is Ice Blink from Shine by SD. It was a collaboration with Seeking Shifts, Riley. And you may have never seen this shade before. And here I am spreading the good word. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, I am going to do my eyeliner now. I'm going to use this from Victoria Beckham. This is the eyeliner in Ash, that's what it looks like. And while it looks pretty dark, it's like a soft black more than I think it is like a gray. And it's the absolute best. I use Ash whenever I do cool tone looks, and then I use Cocoa when I'm doing something warm. That's the eyes all said and done. I'm gonna zoom you back out. I'm gonna apply mascara and spray my face real quick. I'm gonna spray my face and then apply mascara, and then we'll do the lips together. I just opened a Fresh Fix Plus. Somebody got mad at me that I didn't clack my fan in the last video. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that was part of the experience. It was a necessary part of the experience. Face sprayed, mascara on. Let's do the lip. So I'm not gonna use the lip black. I've been using it a lot. This is the Endless Cacao shade in the Artist Color Pencil from Makeup Forever. And it's interesting because it definitely is a cool brown, but I think when I put it on my lips, it makes it like gray. I don't know. I'm obsessed. Some people have mentioned Total Taupe to me from this, and then I've heard that it's discontinued, but Total Taupe is on my to-do list. But then I'm going to take this from Pat McGrath. This is Love Potion. It is one of the lip glosses. I hope it's one of the ones they still make. They discontinued a lot of the lip glosses, and I have like half that were discontinued, and the other half I have are still in stock. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with Pat McGrath. Don't ask me. I couldn't even remember the name of the highlighter set that I got my highlighter from. You know what I want to bring back? I want to bring back at the start of videos where people go, and they side across the screen, and then like there's wind blowing in their hair, and they're just like showing you, like, let's bring that back. I miss that vanity. I miss the vanity. I miss it. But here's the final look. I still feel like this is a completely acceptable summer look. I don't feel like I'm some kind of ice queen because I am on cool tones. I don't feel like I'm not participating in summer colors or something like that. I'm here. Like, I mean, it's really cute. I mean, maybe retrospectively, I wouldn't have used Barba Papa because I do feel like I'm giving off a little bit of like Drew Carey Mimi vibes. Like, you know, I feel like it's like a little bit. But like, honestly, she was hot, and so am I. Vicious and delicious, scrumptious yet dumptious. Today I didn't fact check this, but I was listening to a podcast, and I learned that in Australia, they call slides slippy dips. America, what are we doing? Slide. Slippy dip. I'm gonna have a lot of feelings and thoughts about that as I lay my head down tonight. Anyway, if you happen to be new to my channel, hello, welcome. I can't believe you made it through this video. I would love to have you subscribe. My channel does focus a lot on just like using the makeup that I already have. I obviously use some new stuff in this video, but I also use some stuff that I absolutely love and have had for years. I try to be very considerate about what I do bring into my makeup collection and how I talk about makeup, especially like new releases, being very critical of them, trying to figure out what might actually be good makeup, what would be a good release. So that's the kind of content that sounds good to you. I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure to like this video, and I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me that way. There's no pressure to do so. There's some additional content. Any amount that you donate monthly gets you access to the entire Patreon. It doesn't matter if you do more or less. Everyone's gets the same. It's a socialist society on my Patreon. Merch down below if you want any of the current merch. And I think that's it. Remember to follow your hope, and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye-bye. Friend, 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 friend. Friend, 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 friend. Friend, 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 friend. Friend, 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 friend.